been a year since the deadly floods first struck KwaZulu-Natal, claiming hundreds of lives and destroying homes, businesses and all kinds of infrastructure. To date, some families are still searching for their loved ones, while the pace of fixing the damaged infrastructure has been slow. eThekwini Mayor Mdluli visited some of the affected areas today. eNCA reporter Lethiwe Mdluli has been covering this story for us today. She's joining us now for an update. Good afternoon, Lethiwe. I understand you've managed to speak to a pastor and community leader who says 1 year later, some of the families are yet to bury their loved ones.
Well, Braden, it's a very, very sad situation, what we're seeing when we talk to residents and also those people that were affected by the floods. Of course, it's been 12 months, and today you'd remember that we woke up on the 12th of April to major damages across the city of Durban. And the most affected areas were eNCA, Ntuzuma, those areas that are in the northern parts of Durban. And majority of those places, unfortunately for the people that were affected, they lost their homes, they lost their loved ones, and they had to be housed or homed in community shelters. You'd remember that most of these people have not found their loved ones, and they've been looking for a year now. They are saying that the government has not been helpful in trying to find their loved ones. We went back to eNCA because that was one of the most affected areas. And I spoke to a community leader who's also a pastor who was leading the search for the missing people, and also who was leading in basically those people that were buried under the rubble. They were trying to get them out. So he's telling me that the families have now even resorted to not speaking out about their trauma because they are feeling as if there's no reason for them to do this because the government is not listening. And every time they do an interview, it's just reliving what happened on the 11th of April last year. It's a very sad situation because we've been speaking to these people for almost a year now, or for a year, I should rather say. And we keep on doing the same interviews and they keep on saying the same things, but there's been no response from government. The pastor was telling me that there's still a DNA backlog, and they were promised as families that this process will be fast-tracked. There's a 17-year-old that went missing. Her body was found 2 weeks later, and unfortunately the DNA has not been released to the family until this day. Her body is still in a morgue. There's also 5 members of the Mdluli family that were found, and the DNA there has not been released as well. So a lot of families are still living in that trauma, and the response from government is next to nothing. Now, we spoke to the pastor about how they've been continuing with life and how they are remembering this day a year later, and this is what he had to say.
No help has come by. I'll just state at least 5 incidents that we are facing. Incident number 1, a 2-month-old child that has been buried since then. And a 5-year-old child, which is from Magwaza family. So the unfortunate thing is that we have seek assistance from the government, from the army, from the disaster management, from the municipality, and that these children should be dug out from that because it's just a 10-meter diameter whereby they are buried in. And then we have the issue which is very, very sour about the Mhlongo family, Nolsapo, a 17-year-old child that we found on the river bank 2 weeks after the floods. Still today, as much as we did our private DNA results, even when they've done other results of the DNA, they have still not given it to us. So the child from the 27th of April last year, the corpse is still in the government mortuary. And also in question, the 10 members of the family of Mdlalose family, whereby 6 members have been buried, but the 4 members which were also found in the vicinity of the Mdlalose family, they are still not buried.
That's very tragic, and we know how important it is, Lukele, for families to find closure and bid farewell to their loved ones. This is really tragic that a year on they still have not been afforded that opportunity. But from officialdom-wise, what is the mayor saying?
Well, but then today we were with the mayor of Lethiwe Mdluli, who was doing inspection visits around the city, visiting a few areas that were affected by the floods. We started in Umdluli, and there you'd remember that there was a block of flats that were damaged when the second floods took place in April. Now, most of the sites that we visited were basically places that the municipality has fixed. It was more of a PR visit for the mayor, and when we pushed him for answers as to why there's been a slow response to all the damages, because it's not just Umdloti that was affected. You know, there's also places such as Ntuzuma, Inanda, Umlazi, and most of those places, the people are still suffering a year later. And he did say that because of the funding issue, they weren't able to respond as quick as they wanted, but he is saying that the municipality has received funds from national government, over R1 billion, and he's saying that they're now on the ground and they're trying to respond. But I think this is not good enough it's not a good enough answer, because a lot of people are suffering. We were just in Ntuzuma not so long ago. We're actually speaking to the community there because there's been a recent incident where a woman drove off a bridge and her car fell on a hole from a bridge that was damaged from last year. And she died, unfortunately. She did not know that that bridge had not been fixed. And in speaking to the community, you can hear how angry they are, and they are saying that they feel as if they've been forgotten, and the municipality is basically focusing in those places that are in urban areas, and they're saying that enough is enough. They've been promised that the project to fix that road in Ntuzuma will start next week, but this is only taking place because an accident has happened, and now they are acting. So I feel like from our government, we're not really receiving any answers, and they are not providing the right answers to the affected families and also those residents that are still facing these issues a year later. But in speaking to the mayor about fixing the road and also why it's taken so long for them to respond, this was his response.
It is an unfortunate incident. We express our heartfelt condolences to the family. But as a city, we've been interacting with Department of Transport. They are prioritizing the projects. They have many projects in the province, but they are saying that this is part of their priorities. The two bridges that are commuting people from Hlongwane, Ezimangweni, Best to Ntuzuma, those bridges are a priority to the department. So therefore we expect them that they will be acting soon to ensure that they fix the two bridges. If you look at the magnitude of work that needs to be done there, it's not a small project, it's a big project that will require the department. They've been dealing with designs, because even putting designs of such projects, both bridges were washed away, so therefore they had to redesign, so that they also, looking at how they'll be reconstructing the bridge, they take into cognizance the issues of flooding and everything that needs to be taken care of.
Mdluli, the mayor of Durban, ending that update from Lethiwe Mdluli.